when it comes to etiquette for dating high-value, affluent gentlemen, who is right, Anna Bey or Myka Meier? This is my second in the series where I will focus on first date etiquette. So which one is right? If you followed my previous video, you would know that they're both right, except that Anna Bey focuses on etiquette for dating for feminine ladies, whereas Myka Meier focuses her etiquette tips for 50-50 pick-me-sha ladies. Both are correct, depending on what social contract you're on and what do you want. Do you want to split half the bills, but give birth, right, and do most of the chores, which is what it ends up statistically? There is a high divorce rate in the West because ladies are frustrated that 50-50 does not end up being 50-50. And secondly, if you date an affluent man 50-50, you drain all your savings and leave. And there are so many stories I told you about. Some of the ladies who wrote to me, some ladies I know who started dating affluent gentlemen 50-50 and their savings got drained and they divorced them. So if you're dating 50-50, he should make the same as you or less. I would say the same because studies show that when a woman makes more than a man, gentlemen tend to be ungentlemanly and violent towards ladies who make more than them. So if you're doing 50-50, he should have the same salary. If you are hypergamous and looking to date a provider, the etiquette, of course, is different than 50-50. And today we'll be looking at what is the etiquette for the first date, as some of you have requested. I don't do 50-50 because I have seen where it leads. I don't do that. So if you want to know more about 50-50 first date etiquette, please follow Myka Meier. Now, on a first date, what should you do? So, as some of you know, there are different social contracts, 50-50 you've heard, right? And you have heard of, traditional social contract, right? So if you date a socially conservative gentleman, you can expect him to be a provider. Now, of course, there are the drawbacks, but you cannot expect a liberal gentleman to be a provider because, there are no perks for a liberal gentleman to provide, right? Because if he provides, and you have the attitude that, you can blame the patriarchy, blame the gentleman, and you don't have to dress to please him, you don't have to shave your legs, you don't have to cater to him, then he thinks, what does he get by being a traditional gentleman to a non-traditional and liberal lady? So do bear that in mind, and we want to be fair, as Myka Meier said, because affluent gentlemen do not want to feel used. Now, with the traditional social contract, that means something different. This means if he's paying for your dinner, you should not talk to him down about how you hate capitalism. If he invites you to a steakhouse, do not say how you are so superior as a vegan, and so on. So, a famous social contract in dating is the sugar dating social contract, and they promote it and blur the line between sugar and vanilla. So they say, I don't do coffee dates, which is part of sugaring, because if you're supposed to be intimate with him that night and he pays you for access for services for, a few thousand, right? You're not going to do coffee before you're intimate, right? You will have a fancy dinner. However, if you're dating an affluent gentleman, for marriage, it's rather different because there is the traditional social contract. Traditional ladies don't do dinner on a first date, especially ones who are affluent or well-bred, because, successful, high-value ladies are taught by their parents that at night, gentlemen know that you're more tired and they will try to exploit you, right? So your first date has to be during the day. It cannot be in the evening, right? And you should pack 3 dates, as I said earlier. So, what should you wear on a first date? First of all, before your first date, you should wear something that is sexy, classy, that shows a little something and hides the rest. Skirts should be to the knee, right? However, if you have a little cleavage, then wear, for example, in a sundress, and you just show this much cleavage, okay? Don't show more than an inch. If you're A cup, you can show up to the bra line, but bigger than that, if you have some girls, just a little bit is okay, right? But not more. So enough to flirt, but don't be trying to look desperate. Goes. Have a social media picture of you in a flirty sundress. Maybe he meets you in one, or maybe you met at a conference and you're appropriately dressed, etc. I always recommend wearing a bright colored suit in your season, and this way you do stand out while looking professional and attractive. Balance both, okay? Make sure your clothing is body conscious from tailoring like what I'm wearing, and not body conscious from spandex, which looks cheap and desperate. So you want to be sexy, classy, but also modest and flirty, right? Therefore, you have to wear bright color in your season. It should look cute, right? Florals, lemons, oranges, Sicilian patterns, those work, but make sure the pattern suits you. If you're not aware of what pattern suits you, you can hire a stylist or simply have, monochrome. And I also have other videos on how you can, dress for success and style colors if you don't know what colors are in your season. So watch through my video. So for first date, you dress more modestly than when you're trying to lure gentlemen, right? You dress for the position you want to have. So what job are we interviewing on the first date for? The job of wife. However, if you want a one-night stand, then you dress like a one-night stand, right? If you want to have a job of wife, then you dress for the job of wife. I highly recommend pencil dresses. So dress something appropriate for an office party, right? And also meeting his parents. This is an example. So you see how the dress is tailored to fit my body and body conscious, right? And it shows all my curves, right? And I had it tailored. That's one secret, where it's sexy and classy. At the same time, it's not spandex. When you tailor your clothes, make sure there is one finger wiggle room at least, so you don't look like a stuffed sausage. On the other hand, he sees that you're beautiful and it looks flattering. Expensive clothes are supposed to have some drape in them, so it should, again, not be like a stuffed sausage. There should be a bit of a flow, okay? That way it looks elegant and presentable. This way he can see you and envision you as the wife he introduces to his boss. Do not dress for the place. The first date I recommend is a cappuccino, all right? Elite ladies and models, we say what we want. Bottom line, up front, okay? First date. If you don't set your expectations from day one, I don't care what women or gays will say it. But gentlemen looking for a wife, read it as you are easily manipulated into bed because you lack the self-esteem of saying what you want.
Lower class spaces, people are very direct. What do you want? What is the point? And that's it. Another directly talk about what you want to talk about, people are just going to stop interacting with you. It is a direct.
So when I was younger and I was doing my homework at a coffee shop, when I was in university, and I noticed a model walking, very beautiful, and she stood out from the place. She looked like she didn't belong there, right? And it was a nice, quaint, feminine coffee shop, right? It wasn't one of those Starbucks, because I didn't like to go to there, right? Then, so she walked in with her date, and they started talking, and all the eyes were on her and her hand. She was flipping it and so on. And the gentleman, and her started talking. And she asked him, what are your expectations? And he was saying, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. And she said, myself, personally, I am dating for marriage. Though, I am not in a rush to get married, but marriage is how gentlemen express their love for ladies. And if he doesn't propose, then he's just not that into you. If I don't see a ring within a reasonable amount of time, I'm out. Because why be with someone who's just not that into you? I'm in no rush to get married, but I don't want to be with someone who's just not that into me, right? Why would you? He said, yeah. And then all the gentlemen I noticed were all nodding. Yeah. Alright? And, and she said that she's traditional and she doesn't split bills, right? That's her expectation going on. And she hopes they're on the same page. And he was sitting there nodding, agreeing, and then he invited her to a nice dinner. I learned from that, right? I was not attractive at that time, but as soon as I became a model, that's what I did. And you know what? Most gentlemen were happy, right? So I either got, oh, I'm sorry, I'm looking for a hookup, but I respect you so much for being honest with me and not wasting my time, and I don't waste your time. And so we shook hands, right? And I did have many who were interested in being a husband, and they were so happy and grateful. Elite ladies are raised by our fathers to know the art of negotiation, and brokies, they just hand out everything for free, right? Because, oh, I'm afraid, pick me, I'm desperate. So elite ladies are taught to negotiate. We're taught things like BATNA, right? Or best alternative to negotiated agreement. So what's your BATNA, or best alternative to negotiated agreement, right? Because dating during the sexual revolution is about negotiation. Before, in the Victorian era, or traditional Islamic times, your father would do the negotiation for you, so you wouldn't need to know how to do these things. But now, after the patriarchy is gone, we are our own patriarch, right? And in traditional Muslim and Arab families, ladies are taught to negotiate anyway, because even getting gold, going to the grocery store, shopping, every little thing is about the art of negotiation. So the more you know about the art of negotiation, the happier you are with gentlemen, and the better you are at dating. Set all your expectations up front like you're a supermodel. Say, this is what I'm looking for. And if you don't want it, ciao ciao, right? It's because of the confidence that this comes across. So pygmishas and floozies have a lot of excuses. And you know what Red Pill calls this? Hamster rationalization. So when they want to get free kitty or bonk a girl for free, what they do is they say that there is this hamster that runs, right? You want the hamster running on the wheel of excuses, right? Hamster rationalization. You don't want the hamster to think for itself, have a straight line, realize the gentleman is defrauding her by robbing her with free kitty that she could be paid for, right? By sugar dating. So, he doesn't want the hamster to realize she's being robbed of a sugar allowance by being a free escort, right? Like, what is a girlfriend? A free escort. So, they don't want the hamster to figure this out and run, right? So they have to put the hamster on a wheel of excuses like, it just happened, or you know, the bar's just closed. Oh yeah, we had such a good conversation. You know, let's continue the conversation. Let me walk you home. You know, let me show you my stamp collection at 2:30 a.m. in the morning. Come over. Oh, I don't bite. So here's a glass of wine. Boom, boom, boom. Oops, it happened. You were too attractive. I'm so sorry. I didn't know what happened. And he planned the whole interaction from the beginning. Pick-me-shas don't like to admit they're pick-me-sha. And even Shera, when she's not confident, she won't admit it, right? She'll run on the hamster wheel of excuses. And so if your gentleman asks you, so what are you looking for? And you say, I don't know, right? He's thinking, you're rationalizing on your hamster. I can put your hamster and manipulate your hamster to go on this wheel of excuses. You're already making excuses, right? You're not saying what you want. Why? What's wrong with you? You have no self-esteem. You don't value your time to say, oh, I want this and I want that. Or else, affluent people, high-value people know that time is money. So they're always, I want this, I want that, and if you cannot bring this, next, right? That's how high-value people behave, right? I don't want to hear the brokey excuses, this coach or that coach, blah, blah, blah. It sounds broke, okay? Successful, high-value people, top supermodels are not going to say, I don't know what you want. They'll say, I want this, I want that. Can offer it? Ciao, ciao, bambino. My favorite excuse is, oh, what if he's a narcissist and use it to manipulate you and does love bombing? Ladies, all gentlemen love bomb in the beginning. All of them. That's what they're doing. And there are a few who are honest, but all of those who are rascals, who are not honest, they mimic the honest, so you cannot tell the difference. So in the beginning, they're all love bombing. So pay no attention. You know, don't let the ones who are jerks and players get you in the way of not signaling to the marriage-minded gentleman who's looking for you. So high-value ladies, they don't care about, they're narcissists or bad boys. They're just focused on targeting affluent provider, high-value gentlemen who want to settle down and get married, right? And provider gentlemen do not have to be affluent, because many affluent gentlemen are stingy, but they do want to be able to provide, and they should be able to provide a family in comfort with you staying at home if you choose to. Middle class ladies in the West are raised to be too agreeable and too nice without knowing how to negotiate, so they're left with nothing during dating, right? And that's why there's a high divorce rate. They get married, they cannot negotiate, they get nothing, and then they realize they are happier single than being in a relationship where they're not able to negotiate. And in dating, gentlemen put their self-interest first, and so should you. Put yourself first. Always think, when interacting with gentlemen, with them, what's in it for me? Another affluent word. So, two rich people acronyms you have learned today are BATNA and WIFM. BATNA, best alternative to negotiated agreement. WIFM, what's in it for me? I love him. I will give him my heart, my soul, and I will give him my body and everything, and I just hope that he reciprocates. Please, you know what? This middle class pick-me rubbish has to stop right here, right now. You'll stop losing and you'll start winning with Maria, okay? You will start winning with me, right? And be a queen. None of this middle class pick me rubbish. One of the hamster rationalizations is, well, I shouldn't tell a narcissist, then, he'll know what to do. Grow up. Of course, if you say you don't do 50-50, right, and he wants to fake a relationship to get laid, of course he'll say, oh, I'm traditional. Expect most gentlemen to pretend to be traditional, and after 3 to 4 dates, if you don't bang, and that was his goal, he'll drop you, right? So how you know he's a narcissist or not is you wait, right? That's why you court for quite a bit. Also, it's important that you have a rotation until engagement, right? So you should be dating 3 people at least, right? If you're a traditional lady, right? A boyfriend, this is a modern scam where gentlemen manipulate ladies to be a free escort. Don't do it, right? If you're traditional, engaged is when you are exclusive. I don't believe women who say, oh, I am single until married, I can keep my rotation. Then you're not traditional, split the bill because you're a modern lady. However, traditional women only consider themselves exclusive when there is an engagement ring on their finger. You should not sleep until engagement if you're not a virgin, and wait until marriage, right? And there are plenty of gentlemen, I know so many, and like for me, I waited until marriage and I was really open about it, and everyone was okay who wanted something traditional. In fact, if a gentleman wants a wife, he prefers virgin to low body count. If he wants to have fun, he doesn't care what your body count is. So if you do have high body count, act like a virgin. I do recommend becoming religious. And yes, you know what? Repent of the sins and, again, wait until engagement. He doesn't need to know that your body count is 200. Be demure and act like it's 3. And say, gentlemen, don't ask. That's it. And you dress, you go to church or to the mosque regularly, and you are traditional, and you act modestly, elegantly, as far as he cares, you're pure. That's what matters. Perception is reality. However, if you're acting demure and then bonking, gentlemen on the side, word gets out. It also comes with discipline. So you cannot just, bonk everyone and then go to church and then go and bonk the pool boy. You cannot do this. So if you stop screwing around, you repent and you sin no more. So a exotic dancer wrote to me in the past in response to my post and said, yes, it's true that many exotic dancers who go to pay for their college doing this, once they get their degree, they act very demure, modest, often become religious, etc. And they move to a different town and no one knows. Their friends know. But, no one tells. So their man doesn't know. And when there are rumors that they're this or that, their gentleman says they're crazy and defends the wife. So what's important is to live a demure lifestyle after that and be perceived as demure. We no longer live in Victorian England where there are the same social rules. We've had the hippies since. So at this time in the West, there are many different social contracts. Your first date is to tell the gentleman what social contract you're on. and make sure he's on the same one, and if not, you go and you part ways. Some ladies said, oh, if I have certain expectations or standards, I can silently expect a gentleman to meet my needs. I'm sorry. That's ridiculous. I'm sure in Saudi Arabia, if you follow the traditional Saudi protocol and etiquette, all right, that everyone follows, the whole society follows the same thing, then, having standards, yes, people will know exactly what your standards signal because everyone follows the same social rules, and therefore you can talk through your standards given that the entire society follows the same social rules and know what your standards are signaling. But when there are so many different social contracts, each one has a different set of social rules, gentlemen will have no idea what you're signaling with your standards. And it's insane to expect gentlemen to be mind readers. They'll just say, I don't know what's going on, I'll just try to bonk her and see what happens. You don't want that. You don't want to be used as free kitty, right? Because essentially that's what they'll do. If they cannot read the situation, they'll say, okay, maybe in the West, they'll try to neg you. Nice nails, are they real? They'll point a flaw. Oh, we have a hair out of place, Have you heard of hairspray? One of my friends didn't listen to my advice and did dinner first. So her date, he thought that she wanted to get laid. She hadn't set her expectations. And so he said, nice boobies, are they real? And negged her the whole night, tried to get her to drink. He thought she wanted a hookup. She wanted a lovely date, and so she was traumatized by the end of the date because she was, again, an affluent gentleman. They're very confident and they go for what they want. If they think this is a hookup, they'll go for it. One businessman told me recently that if you're persistent, you'll get anything you want. That's their attitude. They'll persist with their agenda, which is often not your agenda. You have to persist harder than them with your agenda and walk away if that's not what you want. Feminine ladies are assertive, but not nagging, saying, this is what I'm looking for. Not interested? Great. Interested? Great. And then you accept or reject. You don't nag. Masculine ladies live with a boyfriend and drop hints. When are you going to get married? As long as it benefits him, you're giving him free kitty or free maid, free chef, half the bills paid. Why on earth would he want to marry you? He's benefiting from the situation, right? And by marrying you, he'll just have more risks. He can lose half his assets. He's getting everything that you're giving for free, and you hope he reciprocates, and of course he doesn't, because gentlemen think about their self-interest first. So you have to act like a lady, but think like a gentleman, and put your interests first. High-value ladies add value and negotiate. So, of course, we start with our look, that we are both sensual, feminine, but also elegant, so you are presentable to his friends and family. Also, well-mannered, but assertive and cultured. It's very important that you're cultured and have excellent social skills so that you can network when you're introduced and help him expand his network. It's not enough just to be pretty, but you have to have a hobby or career that you're excellent at. So when he introduces you, for example, you can say you're an ikebana artist, right? And, if you say, oh, what's your real job? Say, oh, is this an interview? I'm just here to have fun. and my job pays the bills, and it's very dull, and not interested in speaking about it further. Let's talk about hobbies and what you do for fun. Where do you like to go for vacation, and what do you do for fun in general? So, in the West, if you leave a gentleman guessing, he will guess the worst. So, what do you do, right? In the beginning, he invites you, right? I have a video on flirting, how to make him come your way and start talking to you, right? You're not frigid, You look away, etc., right? I have a video, you can go through my videos and go look at the one on flirting, right? Then, you start talking, and he will ask you out for dinner or for a coffee. And then, right, you say that would be lovely, right? And then you offer, he often offers, and if he doesn't, you give a counter offer of 3 options, 2 that are very bougie, and 1 that is very girly, right? However, if you live in a small town, your only option would be the nicest place, the Hilton, for lunch, right? For salad and sparkling water, okay? Don't do the escort tactic of I don't do coffee dates, because then he'll assume you're on the escort social contract. So gentlemen will always assume if it's something raunchy, but if it's not, they will not notice that standard. So it's very important. On that date, you dress like a wife, and you have 3 of these cappuccino dates for salad and sparkling waters, all put together through the same day, right? You come and go, you ask them what are their expectations, and they say what are yours. I asked gentlemen, when should a lady state her expectations? And these are married gentlemen or marrying engaged gentlemen. And they all said the first minute of the first date. So you should cater to the ones who want to marry you and ignore the players. High value people, they see the glass half full. They go for their goals and not for distractions. Low value people are going to operate from a mindset of scarcity and fear. Oh, what are the bad people wanting? And there's a bad person hiding in the bushes here and the bushes there. And they fumble the bag because they think based on fear. High value people are confident and have an abundance mindset. If you haven't read or watched The Secret, I do recommend it. It's a very important, easy way to understand high value psychology without spending a lot of time. Of course, I recommend Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill and other self-help books, but The Secret at least helps you understand having an abundance mindset, right? And not thinking in terms of scarcity. And that means you focus on your goal, right? You think, what should I do to appeal to the gentleman I want? Not, how should I protect myself from the dusties I don't want? Because that's what you'll get. What we resist persists. If you're thinking how to protect yourself from dusties, all you'll do is get more dust and scare away high-value gentlemen.
People who are lower class always waste time when they communicate, whether that comes down to a lack of articulation and an indirect communication style. Articulation is your ability to convey an idea. When you aren't able to verbally articulate your thoughts, you are confusing people around you. They're in upper class spaces, people are very direct. What do you want? What is the point? And that's it. Another directly talk about what you want to talk about, people are just going to stop interacting with you.
So after you set your expectations, then you move to a lighter topic and say, what are you the most passionate about? And let him talk, right? Just let him talk. And then, oh my, that was so fascinating. I'm sorry, but I do have to go, right? Make sure that your dates last half an hour, maximum 1 hour, maximum 20 minutes to an hour, and you must run. Actually, even have a timer. It's like, oh my goodness, I'm late to an appointment, I'm so sorry, I have to be off. That's why you cannot have a dinner, because you just need to set your expectation and then mellow it down, A spoonful of sugar lets the medicine go down in the most delightful way, right? So how are you going to let the medicine go down? You ask him what is he most passionate about. Gentlemen love talking about themselves, so they'll find you the most fascinating person in the world. And I also recommend this. So when he's talking about himself, repeat the last words in his sentence as the first words in yours, right? And ask him, so when you were on the safari, you saw a giant elephant and took an amazing photo, I gather, right? Oh, that's so interesting. So you said the photo won a prize? Wow, that's so fascinating. These men will say you're the most wonderful date they've ever had. If you are a good listener, like Queen Camilla, you will steal all the men from their Dianas. When Lady Diana was close to people, she would be focused on herself and her feelings. And I heard she had a bit of borderline, which is, I hate you, don't leave me. So she was always focused on herself, whereas Queen Camilla was focused on the person in front of her. And if you follow my series, Queen Camilla learned as a child from her parents, they trained her early, that social skills is what gets you ahead. So she was an amazing interlocutor and so fun at parties. Everyone wanted to sit next to her because Queen Camilla always knew how to make you feel special and to make you feel like you're the only person in the room and you are the only person that matters. So this is the skill that you give a sample on your cappuccino date. You simply ask him, what are you passionate about? After you set your expectations, and then, tell me more. And then you also repeat a bit of what he says, right? So you love playing violin. Oh, how fascinating. Yes, playing Vivaldi must have been so difficult. Tell me more, and also ask open-ended questions and say, oh, that's so interesting. Can you tell me a bit more about it? So, what do you like about playing violin? Oh, wow, that must feel amazing. So, what are your favorite pieces? So your job is the passion. And you really love picking those stocks. Why does that drive you? I'm interested. What makes it so exciting? Things like this, right? And then make him feel like he's the most interesting person in the world. Do eye contact. Often eye, nose, eye, right? So it's not but So you have him feel like he's the most important person in the room and that he's so interesting talking about his passion. You'll stand out from the other ladies. So first you set the expectation, then you ask him what he's most passionate about and ask him open-ended questions to keep on talking about it. And you also try to repeat what he said. Often the last words of his sentence will be the first words of your sentence, right? So you, in a way, validate him. That's so interesting. So you're not dating, you're building rapport. So you make him feel as though you two vibe, you two click, right? So if he speaks quickly, speak a little quicker. If he speaks slowly, speak a little slower. So, the goal is to vibe and build rapport and make him feel like he's the most fascinating person in the world, and then time's up. It's like, oh, would you like to go for dinner? So, me being more conservative, I would say I prefer lunch, and then when you meet my father, then we can discuss it further, but other more modern ladies might say yes to a dinner. For Russian ladies, a fancy dinner on the second date is normal. For Arab ladies, no. You meet him during the day until he meets your father. It was my father who gave my husband permission to take me out at night in the evening because he trusted him. Gentlemen who meet your father are much better behaved. Again, cultures vary. Being traditional is not the same in every culture, but the first date is not a dinner date. It's during the day. And don't have more than a glass of wine during a dinner date. I give honest advice. Some of my ladies have married affluent gentlemen. My advice works. I started giving advice during the pandemic when I saw cropping up so many scammers pretending, you can get rich quick if you marry a rich gentleman, when the advice came from escorting masqueraded as elite hypergamy advice when it's not, and so on, and there were so many scams. And I thought many ladies do want to level up their dating and not be stuck in 50-50, genuinely want to put in the work, and they are confused by a maze of things that are not true. So I do their best from my heart. I'm not making money off of it, right, of my advice. I do consultations for fun, but I don't make money from my dating advice. It's just from my heart that I hope that some of you will be better off. If you don't like it, find someone who will coddle you, because that sure is not me. Western gentlemen are not mind readers, so they will not know what your standards are if you act based on your standards, right? So many ladies will sit there, right? And we had the story from Myka Meier, where she had a certain standard, and she thought that there was a certain etiquette, and she offered a gentleman to pay the bill, and he gave her the bill to pay. She thought that she was being polite, and gentlemen cannot read that. You have to be very clear with your expectations. You should be clear and assertive yet pleasant, using I statements, not men should do this, you should do that. Rather, you say, I prefer this, or I prefer that. And that's elegant. The reason why we pick affluent and also a feminine cafe, why do we do this, is because we set a certain standard that we expect to be provided for. That's how we set our expectations. But you know what? Your first date should be something you can afford to pay yourself. It should be something like a cappuccino. Because at the end of the day, if he splits the cappuccino, you're fine. So when it comes to a dinner date, he already knows that you don't bring your credit card, you don't split the bills, you're a traditional lady, and you think reciprocity is by being feminine, considerate, taking effort in your appearance, and working on being a good listener. So to you, that's reciprocity for a date, right? You don't go in all of this nerding, you simply say you're a traditional lady, and immediately they learn oh, it's that social contract. I'm a traditional lady. I'm not a feminist. I don't believe in splitting the bill. Right? So, I believe gentlemen should provide and take care of ladies, and ladies should cater to gentlemen. Feminists think it's beneath them to dress in a way that pleases their gentleman. Well, I think, why not? If the gentleman takes care of me, should I not reciprocate and take care of him in a feminine way, and he takes care of me in a masculine way? So many gentlemen and masculine lesbians who are looking for a wife will be excited. And if you make them wait, they think this is wife material, right? So, and this is the problem. The reason you're too scared to set your expectations is you were dating too young, right? You should not date until you have finished university and worked a year. Probably wait until 25 is ideal. If you date too young, you have, those frat boys, those duck boys with an F, and they just want to bonk a bunch of lasses, and then you have the predators, the creeps, right? They cannot relate to you, but they want to bonk you. 40-year-old gentlemen don't prefer to marry a 20-year-old. They prefer a 30-year-old, well-preserved 40-year-old. I'm also 40 myself. So either she's really beautiful for her age or she's 30. At least they need to have something in common with her, right? They don't want to date a 20-year-old. One of my friends, her friend is 24 and was dating a billionaire. And he's divorced. And when his family found out, they freaked out and broke it off because of the age. So they talked about it and secretly saw each other as she was finishing her master's. And then she started working. And so then it came out that they came back while they were secretly dating. They came back together at her 26th birthday. Then his family was less weirded out by it. I think the main reason ladies hamster rationalize is because when they were too young and they were dating, they only attracted creeps and unripe fruit, right? And so when they asked, where is this going? Oh, they would get dumped. No, right? So when they would ask for commitment, they would get dumped. Or if they set any expectation, like they want to be a girlfriend or they don't do 50-50, immediately they would get burned by young boys who are too poor, unripe fruit, to start their own family. And even if they came from a trust fund family, they don't want to settle down because they don't have an identity. One of my ladies was dating a trust fund gentleman who would pick her up in his Ferrari, a student from school. And, she said, where is this going? And he said, I'm not serious. I love you, Andrea, but I'm not serious. I want to be boyfriend and girlfriend. And she says, well, it has been 2 years. I want to get married now. And he's like, I can't do it. And I don't even know who I am yet. And she said, sorry. He cried for days. He loved her. But he had to establish himself. And he said, I have to start my own business because he was always known for his father. He said, I know. Of course, my success will be partially due to my family, but also to myself. So he got his MBA, he graduated, started his business, and finally, then he met someone and got married to her, okay? So understand, he is that age, it's best to remain platonic friends and stay in touch. Because when the unripe fruit ripens and you're the woman there, you're the one who gets proposed to. Another friend of mine is engaged to a trust fund gentleman, and when he was in university, he said he met the love of his life. Okay? And he didn't know who he was. She wanted him to propose. And he was honest, I don't even know who I am yet. I cannot make such a commitment. He loved her very much, and they were together throughout all the university years, and no proposal. So she was mad and slept with his best friend. And he was heartbroken, but, after she broke up, nothing he could do. And then she slept with his best friend. So he was, if he's not ready to commit, he's not ready to commit, right? And then years down the road, when he finally was working as a diplomat and he had his own job, and he was like, this is who I am. I am someone outside of my father, outside of my family. I have a degree, I have a career, I am someone, right? I did something for myself. Then he started looking for a wife, right? So it's like in my previous videos, the taxi cab theory. If you try to go for unripe fruit, if you have any expectations, they're too much because the fruit isn't ripe. When the fruit is ripe, they look for a lady with expectations. Don't let being burned in high school and university drive your dating choices as an adult. Grown-up gentlemen want an assertive yet well-mannered lady who is sure of herself, knows what she wants, knows her expectations, sets them clear, bottom line upfront. No games. This is what I want. Do you want the same thing? Yes, no. Don't go into detail, and when it comes to love bombing, don't put clues in your social media as to what your likes and dislikes are. If you like kittens and butterflies, don't put them there. Put something else. Put bunny rabbits. Put a decoy. So if he's a narcissist, he will notice this and he'll say he loves bunny rabbits and you'll be laughing. But if he says he loves kittens and butterflies, you might be tricked into thinking he's a soulmate. One of our friends who was married in the 90s and got divorced was lamenting how today it's so difficult to find a wife material lady, and most ladies, they just want to have fun. I said, really? I heard the opposite. He said, no, but on dates. In the 90s, when you say, what are you looking for? And they would say that they're traditional, they're looking for a husband, or they're liberal, they're looking for a boyfriend or husband. They'll tell you what they want, and you'll know who wants to get married, and then you can find a wife. So it's so easy to find a wife back then, because all the ladies who said they wanted a husband, they all would tell you up front on the first date. They would not waste your time, and from there you pick. And here, everyone wants to have fun. Alright? When you ask a lady, so what are you expecting? And she says, I'll see where it goes. He said, of course, they want to see where it goes into the bedroom. They have no shame these days. That's how gentlemen think when you don't have expectations, right? And I said, these days ladies have no self-esteem. There are as many ladies as the 90s who wanted to get married, except now they feel ashamed to say it. They will be scared that you run away if they're honest, that they have any, standards as a human being. And he was so shocked by this. It's like, oh. I said, yeah, the difference between now and the 90s is simply ladies' self-esteem has plummeted because the society is more liberal. But, most gentlemen, there is not a woman who tells them and corrects them. that says, you have to go and read the tea leaves. High value gentlemen don't have time for that. They don't care. Like, oh, I'll just try to bang her and then I'll find one who speaks up. So when it comes to setting your expectation, also on the second date, right? We're talking dinner or lunch, right? And you're at a restaurant. Then, in the beginning, he invites you, be clear to the waiter. This is very important in the modern era, sadly. So, you ask the waiter, so you invited me, right? So, yeah, so he's paying if I'm correct. Okay, I don't have my credit card on me, so I just want to make sure. So you tell this to the waiter in front of him. This is very important, right? So that the waiter knows on your third or fourth date, right? It's really important to tell the waiter discreetly, because this is when many Western gentlemen, they thought, okay, so you don't want to feel like a floozy, but you want to bonk. You want to rationalize your hamster that you went to 3 or 4 dates and now you can bonk, okay? And you'll be like a free escort called a girlfriend or whatever that is, right? And you're not doing this arrangement. The earliest you should be physically intimate with someone, if you cannot wait until marriage, is 4 months, right? Because 3 months some are calculating and they will pump and dump. So you have to wait for the 4 months, right? Because many are expecting the 3 months and will bounce, right? Because there are many TV shows that say you should wait for 3 months. So they will wait. I think Steve Harvey said it, but so they're waiting for that. So there are many who will wait for 3 months and then they'll pump and dump. So 4 months is the earliest. So many, they will go and take you out to 3 or 4 dates, and they may want to stiff you with the bill. So it's important to know that. And on the 3rd date and the 4th date, it's important to say, oh, excuse me, and then you leave to the ladies' room. But on the way to the ladies' room, you must find your waiter. Hunt him down if necessary and say, he invited me on the date. I'm a traditional lady. He's a gentleman. I want you to know for sure I don't have my credit card with me, and he agreed to pay, and that is our arrangement. So you do it discreetly. The first time you do it openly, and you do it discreetly afterwards. And so this way you don't get taken advantage of, right? Understand, being seen with a beautiful, well-dressed, feminine, elegant, yet sensual lady elevates a gentleman's social status the way if you wore a real Birkin, that elevates your social status as a lady. So on the 1st and 2nd date, you do not go shopping. They're not shopping dates. Again, if you're, let's say, planning to do a one-night stand or something like this, then you should go shopping first so you don't feel like a fool. But, or if you plan, to have some fun at the end of the month, go on a shopping date first. But if you're looking for something long-term, yes, Myka Meier is right. Save the shopping dates for right before your birthday. If you want, I don't know what you like, then you can go together. It's your birthday, anniversary, something like this, right? Because we are thinking long term. Myka Meier had a great story where this lady, she kept sending her affluent boyfriend links of what she wanted him to buy for her. If he's 50 and you're 20, he's not going to marry you, right? It's obvious because he's nothing in common with you. So definitely it's a sugar arrangement, right? Then, of course, you nag, and if he says no, you find the next one. There are lots of them, right? But if you're dating for marriage, right, you need to disqualify yourself from being a potential wallet vacuum cleaner. At the same time, you also are interviewing him for the position of provider, while he's making sure that you don't want to just grab his wallet and go, right? Of course, he knows his money is part of his appeal, as long as he spends it on you. It's very silly to go out with an affluent gentleman to high-end places and split a bill that you cannot afford, or can barely afford, and sit drain on your finances. Why? So, as you're dating, a way to show appreciation is to bring him cookies or coffee or something like this nearing the third or fourth date. Or maybe you have concert tickets or so on, right? One of my gentleman clients thought that he found a wife, so when he took her out for a few expensive dinners, she then insisted on inviting him for hot chocolate and paying for it. Something just token. Or, what's so elegant, Noor bought her date a book. That is so elegant, it's not expensive, and yet it really shows that you value the gentleman. The key is you should not be in the masculine role of provider, right? If you lead with provision, he'll let you provide, right? Which is why we're hotties with hobbies and we don't lead with our career. Unless your career is a professor of literature, of the arts, something that does not make a lot of money, then you can lead with that career all you want. But if you are a banker, then you say, my hobby, I'm taking lessons to play the piano, or I'm taking French lessons, and so on. So you introduce yourself as a French student or a piano student. Noor, in Love is Blind Habibi, as Alia pointed out, led with modeling or her hobby and did not bring up, her education and career. I do think if you have a lovely education, that's not an MBA. It's okay to be an economist because those don't make money, but if you're a banker or something like this, right, you don't show, oh my goodness, I'm so rich. In tech, you don't show that you're the one who is heading the department and making so much money. You are a simple coder and you just make yourself look small, but that you can pay the bills. Saying that you're a secretary, if you're 40, and they'll say only a secretary, so it's much better to say that you design floral bouquets, right? So that's my hobby. My job is rather boring, but pays my bills. I just do it because I have to, but I really like to talk about flowers. I would like to conclude that if you try to be picked, you will not be picked. It's not about being nice and trying to be picked and lower your expectations. It's about adding value and then negotiating. And when you negotiate, don't be afraid to ask for a little bit more, because a gentleman will often bring it down to a little bit less. If you negotiate with confidence, gentlemen will respect you and marry you. Please let me know if you're interested in a video on the truth about Camilla and Lady Diana, and also what did you find the most interesting about this video. Please like or hate, especially on Turtle, and subscribe and comment below. Thank you. Ciao.